Hello and welcome to the Society for International Development Innovation Competition. This is one of my favorite sessions to host every year. Enjoy and deeply love hearing about all the incredible work being done on the innovation front across the sector. And this year, particularly excited because we have 4 incredible finalists to hear from. So the way this is going to work is we've got Bilal, Chris, Zara, and Drew, and each of them is going to have 10 minutes or so to share with us their innovation. I'm going to try and work in a few questions, and then you all are going to have the chance to vote on your favorite innovations as part of the annual conference. So with that, I am going to introduce our very first panelist. Bilal, you are a task order director of USAID's Lebanon Community Support Program. This is a program implemented by Chemonics, and you have more than 14 years of experience designing and implementing programs focused on peace, stability, political transition, local governance, and service delivery, all in the Middle East. So Bilal, we are so excited to hear from you today. Turning it over to you now.
Thank you, Nick. I'm so happy to be one of the 4 finalists in this competition. And thanks for SID for this great opportunity. I'll be sharing my screen for the presentation. So now just a second. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Great. Okay, so to kick off, I'll be presenting today the Lebanon Community Support Program's approach to adopt solar solutions in order to counter the collapse of essential services in Lebanon. As you might know, Lebanon is passing through very tough times. We call it Lebanon's darkest times since 2011. With the beginning of the Syrian refugee crisis and into the economic and financial meltdown in 2019, whereby the Lebanese currency lost around 90% of its value, into then the COVID-19 pandemic, the Beirut port blast, which is considered to be one of the largest non-nuclear explosions in the world, and most recently, the fuel crisis. All together, these crises brought the state electricity provision down to around 2 hours per day. Even today, as I prepare for this presentation, I spent most of the day without electricity. So you can imagine how this is impacting most of the essential services across the country, whether it is water, street lighting, wastewater, household electricity, of course, and many others. Together, you know, as the Lebanese, we consider ourselves a resilient nation. So residential areas and other, you know, industrial, private sector, etc., they started thinking about alternatives. So a very high, we saw a very high increase in demand for renewable energy across different sectors. We saw 5 times increase in the imports of solar systems between 2020 and 2021. And all this to say, there is more and more interest in the country and demand for solar solutions. And at the CSP, we saw this as a window of opportunity to contribute to this paradigm shift, especially with our partners in the public sector, especially municipalities, water establishments, and other service providers, as well as some agricultural cooperatives. At CSP, we are currently implementing 22 solar-related interventions across Lebanon. Some of them are focusing on water pumping stations to get the water services uninterrupted, supporting household electricity, street lighting, of course, for safety and security, recyclable management facility, as well as an agricultural nursery with a cooperative to continue their seedlings production. We are also piloting a solar-powered mobile welding station to repair irrigation lines. And this will minimize water losses, and without it, actually, farmers might not be able to irrigate their lands. And in general, these solar farms will be running these essential services, or at least contributing to increasing the time of electricity provided there. As you might have seen, the key stakeholders I just mentioned, and the impact on all those key stakeholders is huge, especially because they are currently running at a very, very huge financial strain, as I will be explaining, because of the currency devaluation. For instance, some municipalities are currently, who used to operate on $200,000 or $300,000 annually, are only, because of the currency devaluation, are only operating on a $10,000 annual budget. With one intervention on solar, with solar energy, this will save them around $200,000 in 5 years, which is 20 times their budget in 5 years. In total, from the 22 interventions, which are together estimated at, or it's an investment of $3.6 million, we will be saving $8.5 million in 10 years. For us, this is a door that is open for scalability under this project, because we believe once our partners see the impact, both socially and financially, of these interventions, they will hopefully invest in the future that saved money in other services, also to be operated through solar energy. The impact, as I said, on the increase in hours of electricity is around 300%, from 2 hours to 8 hours, and it will reach over 310,000 residents across the country. We know that the CO2 emissions will decrease, of course, and there will be likelihood of reducing tensions in the communities, especially host communities of Syrian refugees. We will be contributing in a sector that is growing to an expected 20,000 employment opportunities within the next 5 years. So we know that this will promote jobs. Our investments will promote jobs in this sector as well. And as I just mentioned, 22 interventions across the country will be producing 2 megawatts of electricity, which is around 2% of Lebanon's solar energy production, if we consider it at large. And the number increases a lot if we take the public sector or service providers separately. The comparative advantage of this approach is its adaptability. The solar solutions can be small solutions to operate a small facility or a small service, and it can be scaled up to also operate a district water pump, for example, or something that covers masses, tens of thousands of people. It just needs, the right skills and, of course, the partner contribution through a land, or the accepting to, delve into such a new service, and it will right away we can start seeing its impact. Finally, in a failing economy exacerbated by COVID-19 and the war in Europe and the demand for renewables, solar solutions is proving to be a vital innovation that is being used to prevent economic and social collapse in Lebanon. This is quickly the team. On behalf of them all, I want to thank you for this opportunity and wish you all a great conference. And hopefully also we'll get the chance to learn from our other colleagues, great innovations across the 3 other interventions. Thank you.
Bilal, what a fantastic presentation. I just want to commend you and your team for the incredible resilience that you've shown in what is a challenging economic, but also political and security landscape that you're in. I guess a question for you as we round out here. What you've mentioned, all the things that have, that you're up against in Lebanon. What are the risks that you feel are still great in order to really have solar farms be this great innovation for the country? What are the things that keep you up at night that you're most concerned about in really trying to realize this vision?
So actually, there are some risks. Of course, nothing comes without that. One of the risks that we're seeing, and we're working with our partners across the different projects and regions, is the risk of theft. With the collapse in security and safety and the increase in poverty rates across the country. Theft is also increasing a lot, and especially for components of solar, projects, whether panels, batteries, etc., cables, anything. And this is one of the major risks that we're working with our partner municipalities, to increase patrols, to make sure that they have a plan of safeguarding and securing these investments. But still, the risks are there. I would tell you, one of the partners in a rural, remote area, after getting approval from USA to install solar street lights, he said, you know what, I cannot protect them. I mean, let's not do this intervention, because I will not be able to sustain the assistance that will be received from the American people. So we had to downside that intervention and replace it with something else.
Well, Bilal, I wish you and your team the best of luck. I think this is a really exciting innovation to have under consideration, and we look forward to keeping tabs on your progress as you evolve. Okay, thank you again.
Thank you. All the best.
All right, next into the tank we have Christopher Light. Christopher, you are a longtime friend and colleague here, so excited to be featuring your innovation in our SID showcase here. Chris, you are an entrepreneur, you're an exec, you're a technologist, you're an innovator, you have 25 years of experience working in this technology international development space. And your most recent project / organization is something called Livestock, where you are the CEO and co-founder. Chris, over to you. Really excited to hear about your innovation today.
Thanks, Nick. And as we were talking about prior to the session, you sort of know the backstory that I sort of got into blockchain, giving a lightning tech talk at ICT for Ag, and that sort of snowballed into this startup where I wound up going up to New York City and meeting with MasterCard, and then finding some venture capitalists to sort of fund our concept of there's 250 million cows in Africa, and how do we improve their health and start looking at some environmental aspects, and then unlock the value. And we incorporated in October 2019 and had an app rolling. I guess it's like the old thing that Newton invented calculus during the plague. What did we all do during lockdown? Well, we got really serious about cattle health. And we got an app going and officially launched we went live, which means going into production in April of last year, and then we officially went live June 17th, which was a global Zoom launch. It's so great with the virtual environment how we can do all these big events, and by the end of by December of that same year, Digital Banker, unbeknownst to us, awarded us the best blockchain solution in agriculture in Africa. Basically, I guess I should say what the app does.
Yeah, it'd be great.
We use blockchain for provenance, basically provability for people who aren't familiar with what provenance means. We have a global identification system, which we use for cattle. It's kind of like a license plate or an ID for cows. And then that's tied to a simple electronic health record, which then it records all the information, and that information has value. So a healthy cow is a more valuable cow. And in the context of Africa, where we launched, we started in Zimbabwe, where unfortunately there was the 50,000. It's actually an unknown number. It's somewhere between 50 to 100,000 cows that they lost due to a disease outbreak. We started there, and the system's working. There's fewer deaths, and farmers want to keep their cattle. It's a store of wealth, and I guess it all I guess it all ends with this, as we were talking about earlier. The Economist has featured us this week in an article called Hyperinflation. One of the funny things that there's what you plan on doing and there's what actually happens. And I always believe in development, you can take on big things and do big things. We took Zimbabwe to the top of the search engines for a good reason. To this day, and you can even try it while we're interviewing, if you type in like livestock and blockchain, you will see us on the front page, typically the top page of search results. So,
Chris, this is incredible to hear. So I want to go a bit deeper here. So walk us through the mechanics of how a farmer in Zimbabwe would get registered on this system. And what kind of advertising are you doing locally to raise awareness for this service?
Well, actually, we're doing a lot of word of mouth, but the registration is tied to services. So this is why we partner with local and sort of regular governments. They enroll their cattle in our system, and then as they provide sort of as there's health interventions, that information is contained. The farmer now. I've been in tech for a while before digital development. I hear even digital development's been around for 10 years. But we called it ask the user. But if you get into user-centered development or human-centered development, the farmer does not have to use our system to actually benefit from it. We designed it so that they can still, as long as they're registered, they can benefit. And the other thing is for the system to work effectively, you can't self-certify. A third party has to certify, like a health officer has to certify that this intervention has happened.
I was going to ask about that. Is it self-reported data, or these third parties are basically assessing the health of the cow or some other registration of the farmer with the cow? What did they certify?
You start a baseline. You have the farmer's name. You have the information about the cow, and then you have the sort of health baseline, and then you just go from there. We can record things like weight, color, any particular issues. That's what the system does. So
gotcha. Okay. All right, so I asked this to Bilal. Want to know a bit more about what keeps you up at night. Like, what are some of the risks or the challenges that you face in trying to roll this out? I know it's been now about two or 3 years since you had this initial inspiration. What are some of the things in launching your innovation that have challenged you and still give you keep you up at night?
Well, it's like scale. Scale is important because our system's designed. It's a platform. It's basically a livestock platform. So we want to have as many animals as possible in the system, and then we'll have you think of it as a double-sided platform. We'll have the users on the one side, and then we'll have service providers on the other. So scale, and then also if we can sort of do it on a PPP basis, then it becomes a national system, and then the government gets sort of dashboard information. So that's scale. I mean, cost. The other thing is the hassle of, because we designed it for smallholder farmers, we're collecting very small amounts of money, and that is very tricky, which is part of why we're partnered with fintech firms. But we're having to get into some things like actually banking the unbanked, having like little simple digital wallets. Again, this is something where COVID has really helped out because the plastic card is kind of gone, so everything's going virtual anyway. So we're seeing, so it's collecting small payments without spending more in fees than you're collecting fees. Those sorts of things, and then also competition.
Let's talk a bit about like your plans for expansion and what's next. Can we go there? Chris, you've done amazing work here in Zimbabwe. Is the goal to go deeper into this context? Do you feel like neighboring countries, other continents, like where do you see the potential of this technology in helping to do the most good?
Yeah, we've launched. Our second official country is actually Mozambique, and then we're in discussions with a number of other countries. So we'll see from there. We're actually talking. We've had discussions as far as Australia. I really don't. I can't count on a regular night's sleep anymore because even Zimbabwe had me address the morning radio show, so I had to get up at like 2 a.m. and be chipper for Harare rush hour. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, Chris, look, I want to thank you for taking the time to chat with us here today. Really excited about this innovation, and if you bringing this to SID has been such a great thing. I know you've been very involved and active in the SID community over the years. So want to encourage folks to check out this project. Chris, they can find it eLivestock website,
Global.com, yep.
global.com, and this new Economist article, which is very appropriately named hyperinflation, heifer inflation. So kind of a cute pun there, but Chris, hopefully you can share the link with us as folks are watching live.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, thank you, Chris.
Hello, everyone. We are now halfway through our innovation showcase, and we are thrilled to have Zara Karimi join us as the next presenter. We heard from Bilal and we heard from Chris earlier. Now we're hearing from now we're hearing from Zara. Zara, you are the growth and marketing lead for ASEAL. It's an e-commerce platform that empowers artisans from underdeveloped countries and provides humanitarian support to folks in Afghanistan. We are thrilled to have you join us. You have a bachelor's in computer science from the American University in Afghanistan, and excited to hear from you. So, Zara, over to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, Nick, for the opportunity, and thank you, Amanda. It's really great to be back to the SID Washington competition this year. So I'm going to present. I hope you can see my screen.
Looks great.
Okay, so we started ASEAL in 2019 as a platform that supports and empowers artisans from underdeveloped countries. We basically started our operations in Afghanistan, our very first country of operations, and we were able to support 40 family-owned and women-owned businesses in Afghanistan, and we sold over 10,000 original Afghan handmade products to customers around the globe. Basically, our platform provides this opportunity for these sellers to sell their handmade products beyond local markets. So the solutions that we have developed previously includes our backend system, which empowers our artisans to be able to sell their products online from Afghanistan, from wherever they are. Also, our supply chain platform, which enables the shipment of these products all the way from Afghanistan to other countries in the world. Our fintech system, which facilitates the process of payments from the international customers, and also we directly pay our vendors through this platform. And of course, our amazing fully functional platform that includes our website and also mobile applications, which is available on both iOS and Android devices. So 2021 was a pretty hard year for Afghans, especially. After 20 years, the Taliban took control of the country in 15th August 2021. Many international organizations left the country, closed their offices and closed their operations, evacuated their staff. And 18.4 million people in Afghanistan were in need of humanitarian support. And ASEAL, as a platform that was dedicated to providing support to people in underdeveloped countries, had stepped in and to use the platform that we had developed over the past years to support these people. So we pivoted our platform to support internally displaced people in Afghanistan and also war-affected families across the country. So as you can see, the very first thing, so we launched ASEAL Emergency Response in August. So through ASEAL Emergency Response portal, people can directly purchase necessary ad packages. You can see the packages in the screen. We have emergency first aid packages, we have emergency baby care packages, we have emergency life package, and food packages in different sizes. So these packages are designed based on the needs of people on the ground. So we had done surveys through our network of Athlon, which means network of heroes, our volunteers on the ground, and we have designed these packages that we deliver. So basically, through our platform, people can donate these packages, and we will deliver these packages to the families in need. We have, up to date, we have supported more than 190,000 individuals across 24 different provinces in Afghanistan. We have done this through our current emergency response system that allows people to first directly purchase these emergency aid packages. When we receive these orders, we will contact our network of Athlon or volunteers. So these volunteers on the ground are basically responsible for identifying, verifying, and also distributing these aid packages to the people who needs these packages the most. Also, our platform enables people outside the country to start their own campaigns or fundraisers to raise funds for people. We have had, as you can see in here, we have a fundraiser that was done by one of Afghan diaspora in support of Azadi Park, where people came from other provinces and were displaced there. So we provided emergency food packages and life packages to these people in Azadi Park in Kabul. Besides, our system also allows people outside the country to be able to donate food packages or any kinds of supports to specific families within Afghanistan by filling out our beneficiary forms. One of the great initiatives of ASIL emergency response includes the creation of Umeed ID cards. So basically, Umeed ID cards, which means hope cards, are designed to, this is one of our leading solutions for transparency. We distribute Umeed ID cards to all the beneficiaries that we have supported so far within Afghanistan. These beneficiaries are registered within our system, and they are assigned a specific Umeed ID numbers. This card basically acts as an identification number, identification card for these families. So we use these cards as a way to report back to the donors and give them an opportunity to see where their donations actually go. In most cases, donors don't know where their donations go, but through these Umeed ID cards, they will be able to track their donations and also establish a connection with the beneficiaries that are being supported through their donations. Our next step in our ASIL emergency response platform is that we are moving forward to transforming our platform in a more transform it, and we want it to become more like Uber Eats platform, where we facilitate a seamless process of transportation, delivery, and also accountability of all the humanitarian aids and donations that we receive from people for the purpose of assistance in the humanitarian sector. It has through ASIL emergency response platform, we have been able to support 190,000 individuals. We were able to form a network of volunteers on the ground alongside our local team who are working around the clock to make sure that people in Afghanistan who are in dire need of humanitarian assistance have access to emergency aids. Our platform also enables a transparent way for donations. So whoever wants to support people inside Afghanistan, they can easily do that through ASIL mobile application and website. As you can see here, we have our website and also mobile application. At last, I would like to encourage and I would like to invite everyone in the room to go to asilup.com or download ASIL mobile applications in your mobile phones, and to go and donate a package, track the whole process, and see the whole transparent process for yourself. We have built this whole platform just to make sure that people have a transparent way to provide support or donate to the war-affected families in Afghanistan. That's it. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Thank you.
Zara, thank you so much. Just incredible the work that you and your team have done in Afghanistan during a very difficult time. I just have one question for you before we turn it over to our last panelist, and that is, how do you market for this incredible suite of services in this app? What is the way you get the word out to the people of Afghanistan that this is something that's available to them that can help them?
What we're doing at SEAL is, of course, incredible. And considering the emergency situation for people, it is really important for us to spread the word as much as possible. So we started raising awareness on a SEAL emergency response through our social media platforms. Our platform, our team is basically very active when it comes to the social media. We have accounts on different platforms through which we raised awareness regarding our humanitarian response and also our handmade section. We also reached out to the body of our customers and to all our customers and our existing donors to different ways, including newsletters. We also had, we approached to the reporters and news agencies, and we were featured in Time magazine and also Al Jazeera and some other international and national agencies. So these whole practices helped us with raising more awareness around this and also getting more donations.
That is incredible, Zara. So thank you so much for sharing with us, and really looking forward to keeping tabs on your incredible work in Afghanistan and beyond. Thank you for joining us today. Okay, hello friends, welcome, and it is our last speaker here. We're thrilled to have Drew Robinson join us to round out this incredible panel of innovators. Drew, you are the Director of Partnerships for a company called Learning Upgrade, and you lead the refugee outreach and the program development for Learning Upgrade. We are thrilled to have you join us, and over to you to share your innovation.
All right, and thank you so much for having me. So today I'll be covering our innovative program to provide education access to refugees around the globe. And so our core at Learning Upgrade is we're already working globally. We have a Learning Upgrade app that teaches ESL, math, test prep, and job skills through binge learning in our engaging mobile solution. We've already served over 3 million learners globally. We're currently working with Afghan refugees in Turkey, India, Syria, and UAE, and continuing to grow. With partners, our goal is to expand access to this life-changing education to refugees around the globe. Brief intro on us. Again, we've served over 3 million learners. We're the grand prize winners of the Adult Literacy X Prize. It's a global solution that's great for all ages, so this can be a 2-gen solution. We meet all the federal standards here in the States. We're also aligned to SEAF, and so unlike language acquisition programs that are purely focused on phrases, vocabulary, Learning Upgrade is actually going to prepare learners for credit-bearing courses in college and high school equivalency. We have SMS, WhatsApp, and email integration to allow for quick and easy global scaling. We also have our own industry-leading LMS that's really going to help for deployments. And unlike other apps that tend to focus on single subjects, we cover English, math, test prep, finance, life skills, citizenship, and digital literacy, with more courses in development every single year. So what's our approach here? So we know refugees need our assistance. There's currently 3.5 million refugees, children not attending primary or secondary school. There's also millions of adult refugees in critical need of ESL, math, and job skills. Here in the United States, we know literacy is a massive challenge for education, and currently only 5% of low literate and non-literate adults are being served in traditional education pathways. That was one of the major reasons we won the Adult Literacy X Prize, which was setting out a challenge for a company that could develop an app that would dramatically increase learning for literacy in adults. And our solution scales. So with a learning app that can be deployed anywhere on any smartphone, any NGO, any education provider, and any organization that would like to provide this solution to learners can do so. So what is Learning Upgrade? You can see our app here in the bottom left. Students are going to take an assessment the first time they log into the app. The app will assess their English and math skills and then place them in the appropriate Learning Upgrade course. Every single one of these courses is 60 lessons, and every single lesson starts out with an instruction that's bite-sized learning. We want to meet them where they are. They're on social media, They're using bite-sized consumption of songs, videos, animations, and social interactions. So we try to meet them there with our instruction. And then the gamification kicks in where they're going to be answering practice questions to improve their skills. For every lesson, every single course, there's tens of thousands of pieces of recorded audio. And that way they get the instant feedback and remediation right away. We build up their skills, build up their confidence, and send them on their way to full proficiency. And this also makes this app perfect for providers of services that don't have educators on staff. You don't need to be an educator. You don't have to be credentialed for education. Any volunteer can now be an education facilitator to allow this to scale up. We also have the industry-leading LMS, and that's going to allow you to track and monitor all student progress from the very first time they log in and take the assessment, all the way through to full proficiency and high school equivalency. And for some at the very high level, they'll even be getting ready for test prep for high school equivalency or the TOEFL IELTS. So why is it important? You can see our full course access here. We can take learners from that basic beginner level, if they test there in the pre-test, all the way up to full proficiency. They can get that English proficiency with TOEFL or IELTS. Then they can take our math courses and improve their math skills all the way up through algebra, prepare for the high school equivalency with a GED or HiSET, and then improve their job skills with our digital literacy, financial literacy, and work-life skills. On average, this is going to take about 350 hours in our app, which might sound like a lot, but if a student can just average an hour a day, they'll be well on their way to covering all of this content in a very short period of time. And this is learning acceleration that's never been seen in traditional education pathways, where learners are usually structured around one grade level per year. And you could see how long that would take with one grade level per year. Whereas with Learning Upgrade, time on task is really the only barrier between a learner achieving their goals and finding that pathway to higher earnings throughout their lifetime. So here's a look at a case study that we recently did. This was just last year. And so we were working with Focus Humanitarian Assistance. They reached out to us because of COVID. They weren't able to provide education one-on-one like their previous programs, and their current online solution was not scalable. So we put together a pilot, translated all of our onboarding documentation into Dari, sent it out via WhatsApp. The feedback was incredible. Our initial goal was to have about 50 learners in the pilot. We ended up getting a response of around 800 that wanted to start. So with our first group of 800 in the pre-test, you can see on the SEFR scale, they tested pre-A1, which is a first exposure to English, low literate, at 92%, which is expected for refugees. These are Afghan refugees that were in Turkey, and so they didn't really have any formal education in English. After 6 months on Learning Upgrade, you can see that pre-literate A1 is now down to 16%, but more importantly, almost half of those learners are now independent and proficient. As an independent and proficient learner, in the US, we would consider that an NRS 4 or 5, so you're moving up on that scale for NRS levels. And then for the NRS ESL levels, they're now at a 5 or 6. For those that use CASAS, 210, if you're not familiar with that scale, is going to be low literate. And so that's the benchmark for that for us as well, for independent and proficient. And if you get above that CASAS 210, you're now able to access all of our work-life skills, job skills, and you're well on your way to high school equivalency and credit-bearing courses in a college setting. So again, in just a 6-month period, look what we were able to do for the lives of these 800 refugees. This account has now scaled up. We're serving around 3,000 learners, and we have plans to scale that up even more with a few thousand more learners in the year ahead. So this is something we've already proven. It works with refugees. We're able to scale it globally. And we've also, we've been in business for 20 years. We've served those 3 million learners in the United States and abroad. And so our goal is now to partner with other organizations that are working with refugees so we can provide this life-changing app to every single refugee that needs it. So how does it work? So first and foremost, we identify the locations and the students, and then Learning Upgrade trains site volunteers and leaders. From there, we're going to onboard learners. We do push notifications and consent credentials via WhatsApp to each learner. We can onboard all students with a spreadsheet. So even if you have no personal one-on-one interaction with learners, the one with the 800 refugees, that organization's based in Canada, and we're working in 7 countries now with no in-person instruction. It's purely virtual, but we're still able to meet all of their needs via our WhatsApp groups and also push credentials via WhatsApp. NGOs then track and monitor all the student growth, and then they're able to track and monitor their progress. And then finally, what they want to do is we're going to celebrate student success. So we have parties online, in person if possible, and have rewards for some of those learners. So that's everything I wanted to cover today. I'd love to work together and provide every refugee a path to self-reliance through education. Feel free to reach out with any comments or questions.
Drew, thank you so much for this fantastic presentation and the work that you do. I guess I might round us out here by asking you, what's been the hardest part? So you're working with refugee populations. These are folks in challenging moments, times, stages of their lives. I can imagine that comes with it a lot of of real challenge. What has been some of those maybe unanticipated challenges that you've had to navigate in your role as the partnerships person for Learning Upgrade?
Sure. I think the initial challenge was the scalability of deployment. And so we invested heavily last year in a lot of improvements to our LMS. And so that was with the deep WhatsApp integration. Before we had WhatsApp integration, providing login credentials to learners when we weren't meeting with them in person was challenging because we're sending them out individually one at a time. And then we were uploading individual students. And so that used to be our biggest challenge. And then now we can do spreadsheet enrollment and push notification for the credentials. Now that we have all of our onboarding streamlined, our biggest challenge now is just getting that into the hands of the learners and communicating expectations and getting every single learner started. We find once they get started, they take off and they get up to full proficiency. But as you mentioned, they have a lot going on in their lives, a lot of challenges. They're in new countries, learning new languages, maybe a new job, trying to get their kids into school. And so there are a lot of challenges competing for their time. And so we try to put together our onboarding to be as motivational and as streamlined as possible to let them know it's just going to be a small part of their day to get going. And then we get the momentum from there.
That's so great, Drew. Well, thank you for sharing this journey that you've been on with us, and just a note of gratitude for our 4 panelists here, Bilal, Chris, Zara, and Drew. Thank you all for the incredible work that you do and the time you've shared with us. And thank you also to everyone who has joined us and watched this segment at the SID conference. We hope that you take advantage of the contact details, each of our great panelists, to reach out to them if you are excited about connecting. And we look forward to sharing the results of the judging of our innovation competition with you all shortly as the conference rounds out. So thank you all, and looking forward to lots of engagement coming from this session. Okay, take care.
Thank you.